How often do I take my GLP-1 microdose, and is it even worth taking my shot more than once a week or more frequently? So in this video, I'm going to answer those questions and more to give you an idea of the pros and cons I've experienced when I increased how often I take my shot. I'm Nico, nutrition coach microdosing tirzepatide to help control my binge eating and to lose some vanity weight. Quick disclaimer, this is for educational purposes only. I am not a doctor. I'm just talking about my personal experience microdosing a GLP-1. What works for me probably won't work for you, so talk to your doctor or healthcare provider if you want to make changes to your dose. Okay, so why do some people take their shot more than once per week, which is the typical dosing schedule? I don't know why most people do it, but I'll give you my reasons. And keep in mind, I've only made one meaningful change to my shot frequency. I went from taking it once a week to every 5 days. And it's been like almost 6 months now at the time of recording, and I haven't made any changes since. Now, why did I do it? I assume since you're watching this, you're already microdosing and currently take your shot once a week. So you probably noticed hunger and cravings can come back before you take your next shot. This is because the effects of the GLP-1 can wear off. Like for me, I go from having a lot of appetite suppression after I take my shot to gradually less as the week goes by. Now, at first, I could handle and manage the hunger that comes back by doing what I call hunger management methods. So things like eating my meals at a certain time, eating more vegetables, having less protein drinks and more solid foods like meat, etc. And these things worked for a bit, but at some point they just stopped. And at that time, I originally thought about increasing the dose amount, going from 0.5 milligrams tirzepatide to 0.75 milligrams, but I didn't think I could handle that much of an increase at one time, because that means I would get a higher amount of GLP-1 in my system and too much appetite suppression or potentially more nausea and bloat than I already get. And just to quickly mention it, the dose amount I take isn't always what's in my system. What's in my system is a range between certain amounts of GLP-1, and it's constantly changing. Like in this graph, you can see the GLP-1 in my body just fluctuating. And I'll talk more about this later, but this is important to know now. But anyways, I heard about the idea of increasing how often to take my shot instead of increasing the dose amount. And it would technically be more GLP-1 in my system, but the increase wouldn't be too high. So I decided to try taking my shot every 5 days instead of 7, and it worked out. I should have tried it every 6 days to be on the safe side, but I realized my hunger was starting to get crazy on day 5. So that's when I decided to take it. And I've been taking my shot every 5 days ever since. I still get hungry on day 4 and 5 before I take my shot, but I can handle it with a few of the hunger management methods I talked about earlier. I'll break down my decision-making process on how I decided to increase my frequency just to make it more clear. But first and more importantly, let me tell you what I look to get out of my GLP-1, because it played the biggest factor in my decision. I want to get a decent amount of appetite suppression from my GLP-1, and I define appetite suppression as a bundled term. So getting full faster, staying full longer, and reducing hunger and cravings, but not getting rid of it. I'll give examples for each. I get full faster, so instead of finishing one donut and being full, I'll get full after eating half a donut. Staying full longer, instead of staying full for 3 hours, then getting hungry again, I stay full for 6 hours. Reduce hunger and cravings, so instead of craving ice cream and donuts, I only crave donuts, and it's sort of like I want the donut, but I would be okay if I didn't have it. If I wasn't microdosing, I would want ice cream, donuts, pizza, tacos, chocolate, and everything else that tastes good. And I wouldn't stop thinking about it until I get it and eat it all. All right, now that we went over what I want from my dose, let's talk about how I decided to increase frequency. First, I took note of when my hunger was coming back, and for me, it started on day 6, and on that day, I tried really hard to do my hunger management methods. But after doing all of them, I realized I wasn't getting any more appetite suppression, so I wasn't getting full faster, staying full longer, and I was still getting hungry and craving a lot of food. And that's when I decided to increase my dosing frequency. And again, I only did it meaningfully one time since I started microdosing. Again, I should have tried every 6 days instead of 5 just to be on the safe side, but it just worked out for me. I did one time try every 4 days, but it was a disaster, which I'll talk about right now in the next section. All right, what happened after I increased my frequency? First thing is that I'm technically taking a higher dose, which means a higher chance of getting new or more side effects, like nausea and bloat in my case. I use an app that tracks how much GLP-1 is in my system at any given time. Shotzi is the one that I use, but there are plenty of other GLP-1 related apps out there. So anytime I increase my dose amount or frequency, the peaks of how much GLP-1 in my system goes up. So that one time I experimented and tried to take my shot every 4 days, I ended up having some of the worst nausea and bloat I've ever experienced while microdosing. My peak at 0.75 milligrams tirzepatide at 5 days a week was something like 1.3 milligrams rounded up. But at every 4 days, it was something like 1.35 milligrams, if I remember right. So barely that much of an increase. And when that was happening, I had a horrible time and it ruined my day. The good news about going through all that is that I now know my dose limit. So if I'm above 1.3 milligrams, I'm probably going to have a bad time again. But that's just me because I'm sensitive to the meds. I might consider trying to get to that peak amount to see if I respond differently, but only if I really need to. Honestly, experimenting every 4 days was just me being stupid and wanting more appetite suppression than I needed. But that was dumb and I paid the price. Now, could I take less dose amount when I increase my frequency to get a lower peak? Maybe, but I haven't tried. I would get less total appetite suppression early in the week, but that might not be an issue, but it also means I get even less at the end, which then means to solve the end of the week hunger problem, I might need to take my shot even more frequently, which I don't want to do. My current dosing schedule ended up being perfect for me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, is the way I see it. The next thing about taking my shot more often is that it costs more money. If I take my shot once per week at the same dose, that's 4 shots per month. Now that I take it every 5 days at the same dose, that's 6 shots per month. That's 2 more shots I take per month because of the increase. So I spend more money. Next, when increasing frequency, it might not work at first. For every increase in dose amount or frequency, it takes about 4 shots to build up in my system according to my app. Like let's say I increased my frequency and I didn't feel it that week. If I take the same dose at the same time again, I might feel it in the second shot because it's building up. And even though nothing changed about my shot amount or timing. And the third and the fourth shot, I might feel a lot more or maybe no difference. So it's important for me to wait before I consider making any more adjustments because I could get like more side effects or something. Everyone responds differently to the meds and sometimes you just gotta let it do its thing. Making frequent changes because you're impatient can lead to negative downsides. Side effects, again, being one of them. Okay, the last thing is taking more shots. This is more of a me thing, but some of you might feel the same. I think giving myself a shot is weird. I'm over 40 shots in and I still feel pretty strange about it. Getting shots from like the doctor is whatever, but doing it myself, I don't know if I'll ever get used to it. Maybe I gotta be like 100 shots in. But going from every 7 days to every 5 days is annoying and it's something I noticed pretty much immediately because I have this whole process and routine to make sure I'm safe about it. But whenever it's shot day, I hate it because I have to go through the process. Like as I'm recording right now, I was supposed to take my shot a few hours ago, but I'm just putting it off. Now, something crazy that I would see that some people would do is they take their shot every day. Like they take little amounts of GLP-1s, like I don't know, like a microdose. I definitely couldn't do that because it's just inconvenient, but that's what they do. And also apparently there's this idea of GLP-1 receptor fatigue or something. It's where if you take your shot frequently, it affects how you absorb the GLP-1 in a negative way, pretty much just making it not as effective. I honestly don't even know what it's about. I'm just bringing it up in case you want to look it up yourself. But I also don't care too much for me personally because I don't see myself taking my shot more than I do now. And even at my current frequency, if it negatively affects me, oh well. All right, that's the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks for watching. Bye.